not the Miami weather that everyone is used to.
Yeah.
It's worse other places.
Well, I wanted to know, because I've covered the Heat for several years, but we're doing this today. How important the beginning of your career was it where you started to realize that you do have a brand and it's important to build on that in addition to everything that you've done on the court?
I think early on I was just excited to be a part of brands that I grew up watching. So when I got a chance to sign with Gatorade, for instance, Jordan, I want to be like Mike. That all those things are just a rich tradition, and I was excited. And then once it kept going, and other brands, I was like, okay, I'm doing something right. Let's figure this out. So, I think me and my team have done a good job of, not only of being associated with the right brands that we feel, but also developing those relationships that's lasted a long time. So.
And I was thinking about that time with the Heat, because yesterday's news about Shaq getting retired.
Yeah.
That was kind of around that time where they got a superstar, but they were grooming their own superstar as well. How did his presence help with that? Because he also continues to do commercials to this day. Was any kind of a mentor as far as that part of the side of your career went? 100%.
I was always very shy and to myself and quiet. And Shaq kind of helped bring another side of me out. Obviously, I'm never Shaq way. I'm never that. But he let me know that it was okay, to be you, to say things that you're thinking, to say things that you want, how you feel, and he kind of brought that side out of me, at that time of being my second year in the league, and we was a traveling Beatles. We called ourselves the Heatles at the time, and and along the way he always talked to me about marketing and and coming up with my own ideas and owning my own stuff and all this kind of thing. So it was perfect timing for a young kid that was kind of thrown in a situation where I had on the basketball court where I had to now win a championship, early in my career.
Right.
But off the court where a lot of things was coming my way and I was becoming a face that people were starting to recognize. So I had a great mentor from that standpoint.
Yeah. And I feel like the more time has passed, you've taken on more of a creative control over that sort of thing, like with your shoes. Even with the Wade wine, they sent me a couple of bottles.
Oh, really?
It was really good. I'm gonna write that up. But yeah, it seems like it's been more and more something where you want to not just promote something, but also take a part in developing the brand as well.
I think you grow into that. I think obviously at first I just wanted to be a part of something, and after a while, for one, you start having your own interests that you want to get involved in, and for two, the biggest thing for an athlete like myself and I hope other athletes is trying to have some ownership in something, and you don't want to be the guy that just come in and then, some guys do. Some guys want to be the guy that just come in and leave. But I want to be the guy that kind of learns and know what I'm dealing with, and and really have some real ownership in it.
Right.
And I've been able to, of late, kind of change the way that I've done things from that standpoint. So it's busy, for sure, but it's a good thing.
And do you handle those kind of things more during the off season, or is it something like a year-round thing where like something like this, comes around and you want to take advantage and do something like that?
Yeah, it's year-round. I think the cool thing for me is that my team can, as much as possible, the team that I put together, they can handle as much as they can without me because of my traveling, etc. But when I have to come in, I have to step in, I have to be a meeting, I have to do this and that, I got to do it. This is the Wade brand. This is something that, even though when I'm tired, I don't want to do it. At the end of the day, it's my name. It's something that I've asked for. But in the summertime, you really get to, really spend more time at it. I get to go to Napa Valley. I get to go to China. I get to go to all these places and sit and be, more active and more creative, with everyone else.
Yeah. Okay. And I got a chance to check out the set. I get the concept of the commercial. So for you, what's the secret to keeping cool in pressure situations, at the end of a shot clock situation, at the end of the game? Is it mental?
It's mental.
Yeah.
And it's slowing everything down, for myself and for others. It's you putting yourself in that moment many times when you've been in the gym, that's what you work for. You work for those moments, and you don't rush it. Take your time. A lot of times in those situations, you got a lot more time than you think you have. Some guys get so anxious, and when it's nervous, it's anxious, and you don't realize how much time you have. I've always been a player that's kind of prided myself on always at least showing that I'm cool under pressure. I'm cool in that moment. Even if inside I was sweating or nervous, I always, try to prove that, I put the work in. I put myself mentally in this situation so many times where here it goes. So, just let me do what I've always done.
Yeah. And that's like the most iconic moments in a game where you probably grew up just watching like something like Jordan or Gervin like handle that situation, and then it's reality though when it's in your shoes and you actually have to. Everybody's looking at you to do that shot. When you realize that the game is going to get close, when it's getting there to crunch time, do you relish those type of situations where you'll know you have the ball in your hands and you have control of the entire game?
Yeah, I want it. I mean, obviously we all want to win games and be able to sit on the 4 quarters, etc. But it's nothing like those moments where the last 5 and 4 minutes of the game, it's basket for basket, and you have your part in it. I've been lucky in my career where I've always been a guy that's been counted on in those moments, and I live for those moments, man. That's why I still love this game, for those moments. And so, no question about it. I'm excited now, thinking I wish we had one of those moments last night where I could put my stamp on it. You look for those moments, and with our team, I always say, listen, especially on the road, I always say, listen, just keep it close. We got enough. I'm very confident in my ability in late in games and 4 quarters. I'm very confident in my ability to get my teammates open shots, not only myself. So we keep it close. We got a chance to win a lot of ball games, and that's the biggest thing that you try to shoot for when you got quote unquote closers.
Sure. Speaking of that, obviously the Big 3 era was amazing for the franchise, for you as well. What was the adjustment like to having that clear-cut role as a closer in this kind of version of the Miami Heat? And it's kind of similar to your earlier years. What's that adjustment been like, where you know that you're going to have a hand in this?
Well, it's great for me because that's just who I am, So it was tougher in those when we had those moments in the 4-year run that we had, because a lot of times I probably wasn't involved, and I'm so used to being involved. But as a team player, you got to figure it out and try to help whatever way you can. It is cutting hard and getting out the way. Yeah. But I mean, this is where I'm more comfortable in the position where I have a hand in it, I have the ball in my hand, or where I can put my stamp on it. So I missed it, and when I got back to it, I was like, this is what it feels like. But it's a trade-off too. When you put yourself on a great team with great players, where you don't have to, you don't always have to be the one to do it. And when I got my opportunity in those years, I did it still, and I was like, okay, I can still do it, because you kind of forget, at times. So.
Besides yourself, which of your teammates embodies that kind of Iceman demeanor that George has, current or past? Maybe like Manny Jones or
Chris Bosh in the current. I mean, he's so cool, man. I mean, he's especially in big moments. He always have been. In the past, I think one thing I watched LeBron kind of develop into that here, really owning the moment. Especially when he was here, and it takes a lot of misses or mistakes or your own inner downfalls to get to that point. But I saw him grow into that. Let's see what other players that was cool. I'm sure there's so many. Ray Allen, obviously Ray Allen is so cool under pressure. Reason I have 3 championships, is because of him as well. But I'm sure it was other players along the line that when they had opportunities. I mean, Gary Payton. I think about Gary Payton back in 2006 when we won the championship. He had so many big shots for us in the playoff runs, especially in the finals. He was made for the moment. So yeah, I've had a few since I've been named in.
And you've had other teammates that are on the other side of the spectrum that play with so much emotion, like Alonzo and Haslam. Is it important to have the team kind of have a mix of both types of players?
You need it. You need a mix. You can't have all the same guys. You need a mix of guys, and that's why it's so great playing team sports. So many. Each guy brings something different to the table, and that you need. And I've never played individual sport like tennis or golf, where it's just you. I can't even imagine how tough that is. We rely on our teammates big time, and so it's good having playing with Alonzo and all the emotion he brought to it. Feel like every possession that he had, or playing with Udonis for 13 years, and he's not even in a rotation some nights, and the emotion he brings to just the sideline or the locker room, to me that's special.
And is it just as exciting to be named an All-Star now as it was earlier on in your career? Like, do you get really competitive every year to go against the best and play with the best as well?
Well, to be viewed as the best never gets old. no matter what, to know that it's 24 players that gets into All-Star, and for 12 years I've been one of the 24 that either the fans or the coaches want to see in this game, and to me that's humbling. I'll just always remember my first All-Star, and I didn't get voted in by the fans, but the coaches voted me in. I had to wait on the coaches, and I was so nervous, man. I didn't show it, but inside I was so nervous because it's something that I always wanted. I always watched the All-Star games. I always wanted to be looked at as an All-Star and wanted to be one. And when I finally got that nod, it was like, man, this is the coolest thing in the world. And then you go through a process where you're going year after year, and I think you kind of take it for granted, and I think now, in my 13th year, and looking at saying, man, it's not that many more, like these that you're gonna have. I'm appreciating it, so I'm excited for this All-Star, because it just adds to the journey. My kids are older, they get to enjoy it, they get to really understand what it means for their dad to be an All-Star. So it's just now it's cool, So I'm excited to go and start in another All-Star. It's crazy for me.
Yeah. Hey, you mentioned the kids. It's maybe you've gotten used to staying cool under pressure when you're playing the game, but what about when you're watching them play?
Oh man,
from the stands?
I'm terrible. I always thought I would be. I always had this visual in my head of how I would be as a parent watching. My kids was able to play sports, and I thought I would be that parent that kind of sit in the crowd in the corner somewhere, head on. Man, I am not that guy, man. And as much as I try to be, I go into games or tournaments, I'm like, I'm gonna be cool. And some nights I can be, but it's like some of them days where I just either one I become a fan of, of certain things. I'm like, sometimes my kids, my son do something, I jump up, as a fan, and then sometimes I'm like, what are you doing? So yeah, I'm like both, man. It's harder watching and being a parent than it is when you've been out there playing. That's the easy part.
What has been the key to staying healthy this season? How does Gatorade and other products help you maintain that level that you're going to be at your peak level of fitness maybe during the season, but how do you maintain that throughout the whole season?
Well, the biggest thing, and some of it is luck. Let's just say that, right? And then the other part of it is being smart and learning what your body needs. So from you got one end from a training standpoint, which I'm very big in, is making sure that my body has in the summer, make sure my body went through everything that physically that I'm gonna go throughout the season. So make sure I put my body through it, so it's not nothing new. Making sure that nutrition has become a big part of staying in this league, man. At 34 years old, is really eating the right things for the most part, and making sure that my body that I have the energy and the things I need. And the great thing about working with companies like Gatorade is anything that I need performance-wise, they're always there for it. They're always thinking about the athlete, and we need that. It's very underrated of how important It is, but you see every athlete go to the bench. First thing they do is they grabbing for the fluids they need, whether it's water, whether it's Gatorade, whether it's a mixture of both. Because you have to replenish in that moment. You have to get the things back in you. So it's great that I've been able to work hand in hand with them and say, hey guys, this is what I'm feeling at this point. I remember one year I was cramping up bad in the playoffs, and so I reached out to Gatorade and said, what can we do? And then they went into the lab to try to think of a formula drink that I can have and what I should have to help me. So all of it works together, man. It all goes hand in hand.
Yeah. Does your wife ever give you acting lessons for these kind of spots?
Absolutely not.
Do you ask, or she just,
absolutely not? No, I'm not an actor, so I don't want to try to become one. I just want to. When I do these spots, I try to have fun with it and don't want to take myself too serious and act like I'm an actor. I listen to the directors and what they want, how they want me to try to do something, and hopefully I deliver. And if I don't, I'm sorry, but I'm not an actor at all. I'm an athlete who enjoys being. I do enjoy being in front of the camera and trying to, whatever the vision is for the campaign, is hopefully I can bring myself to it and make it fun. So
you're not gonna be in any shows or movies like Shaq or LeBron?
I don't know. I've done a couple small cameos, but nothing serious. When I've done them, I've enjoyed it for sure. I get a little nervous thinking about. I always get nervous. I'm gonna be that guy that's gonna come in, and the actors who are really serious about this, and this is their craft, and I'm gonna forget a line, or I'm gonna be this, I'm not gonna get it right, and they're gonna be looking at me like this guy, So I always be like, I don't know if I'm gonna do it. I stay to doing commercials, and kind of having. It's easier when it's your commercials, and and you get to make the mistakes, and not too many people looking like, oh my God, this guy can't act, because it's like, okay, he's an athlete. It's not what he does for a living, so I'll stick to this for a while.
All right,
hopefully.
And last question is, when a commercial like this comes out nationally, do you get feedback from teammates or opposing players?
Yes, you do. Because first of all, we all watch basketball at all times. Right. So your commercial come on, whether you're in the locker room with the guys or whether they're at home and you get a text. But I think when it's a great commercial, your peers let you know. Because either it's gonna be something that they say. Because I've been in spots before. I remember a Gatorade commercial I was in was Good Wade, Bad Wade. And I remember being in the game a couple times, and I remember Ty Lue, who was now the coach of the Cavaliers, was mocking what I was saying in the commercial during the game. He was coming up the court, I'm D-Wade, I'm D-Wade. Whatever commercial I was in, it was a big head commercial I was in where I said that, or whatever was going on in the middle of the commercial, he was mocking it. For me, that the commercial was good, it was catchy, it was a sign of respect. So when you're able to be in a commercial, like this, where it's a cool commercial. You're doing it with a legend, a nice man. For me, I think it's something that most players that understand, like when you go into the free throw line late in games, you have to take yourself somewhere else. Right. You can't think about the moment, because the moment can get too big for you. Yeah. So when you think about this ad and and think about kind of how before I go into the game and shoot this game-winning shot, I'm going somewhere else. I'm going to my cool place. Yeah. And my cool place is with George Gervin, and we out there and we're having fun. And to me, I think a lot of athletes can identify with that. Yeah. So I think this spot. With him is going to be something that everybody's going to look at and be like, yeah, I want that, and they go to their own cool place. So I'm excited once again that 13 years in the league, that Gatorade continues to find creative ways to activate me with the things they're doing. It's been cool to say, we're releasing a G2, Dwyane, we want you to be one of the faces of it. We're releasing this new Frost drink, Dwyane. We want you to be the leader of it. So they're always been innovative, and I'm always looking to, continue to innovate myself and in this game, and I think it's just a perfect match. So I'm excited for this ad.
All right, well, good luck with everything, and have fun on the shoot.
Thank you, man. I will.
Thanks for your time.
No doubt.
All right, take care.
Thank you so much.
No problem.